Good morning, Super Nintendos. Happy Pokemon Day, and welcome to a special live episode of Nintendo Voice Chat. My name's Logan Plant, and I'm joined by a panel of Pokemon professors Jada, Miranda, and Nick. Good morning. Happy Pokemon Day.
Happy
Good morning.
Pokemon Day!
Yeah.
Yeah, it's my favorite day of the year, basically.
And we're here bright and
More so
early
than
to
your
react to
birthday?
the Pokemon
Oh yeah.
Presents, which starts in just under 5 minutes from now. We're hoping to see Pokemon Legends ZA, which was announced last year on Pokemon Day with just a little tease. We have not seen anything on it since, so hopefully we'll see that, which is coming to Nintendo Switch sometime this year. We're going to probably see updates on mobile games, Pokemon Go, Pokemon Sleep, Pokemon Smile, whatever daily routine Pokemon has found its way to work itself into, Pokemon TCG Pocket, which is all the rage right now, and if we're lucky, maybe a tease of Generation 10, which should come out next year, hopefully, to line up with Pokemon's 30th anniversary. So, Miranda, I'll go to you first. What is your biggest hope for this event?
I would love a tease of the next gen. Like that's
Yeah.
pretty hype because we know it'd be if it's next year. I mean, if any time, we'd probably assume it's be on the new Switch. So like getting any sort of sense of scale or just I don't know, finding out the region first is always just so much fun.
Hmm.
Last time we got our tease, I did a cool like analysis piece with Casey DeFriedis, another major Pokemon fan on staff, an expert, and I would love to do another one of those. Basically, it's like basically Pokemon put me to work. I want to play. I want to explore what's next in Pokemon. Um,
Hmm.
but other than that, I already got my Detective Pikachu, so I'm pretty happy there. And I don't know, there's just like a wealth of a backlog that they have that they could dig into. So there's a lot of opportunities to be excited for something.
Yeah, we still don't have the classic Game Boy Red and Blue on Switch Online. The world lost its mind when those came to Nintendo 3DS several years ago at this point, and they could just, an easy slam dunk win for them would be to drop those on Switch today. So I'd love to see that. Nick, how about you? Just about 3 minutes to go till the Pokemon Presents. What do you want to see?
I mean, I'm an open book here. I think Pokemon Legends ZA is the thing I am most interested in. I thought Legends Arceus was a wonderful first swing that felt a little bit limited by the hardware, but I was excited about the gameplay loop, so I'm hoping that we see something pretty similar with ZA. I love visiting the Pokemon regions, known Pokemon regions, but set in the past. So I think there's just a fun thing that they do with the timeline stuff, and I don't know, that entire game was just atmospheric and so charming. So I'm hoping we get something similar. And again, like Miranda, you always gotta hope for a new gen tease, and I'm hoping for the double title drop. What is it going to be this time? Are we finally getting Pokemon Star? Who knows?
Yeah, I'm with you, Nick.
Mm.
Pokemon Legends ZA is what I'm most excited to see. A lot because I think we're going to learn about what the Legends subseries of Pokemon actually is. Arceus takes place in the distant past. It's all about catching Pokemon in this different way. Legends ZA, we know it takes place in Lumiose City from the Kalos region, from Pokemon X and Y. But beyond that, we know kind of next to nothing about it. So is it going to be that same catching Pokemon style where you're throwing a ton of Pokeballs to try and capture these things? Or does the Legends subseries actually just mean we're returning to a region and doing a completely different spin on it? We don't really know yet, so that'll be really fun to find out. Jada, 2 minutes to go. What are your expectations?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say I have expectations. I have hopes and dreams.
Yeah.
The biggest hope is that Nintendo kind of Nintendo and Pokemon, I should say, does their job of making the franchise feel new again. Like we
Mm.
got that a little bit with Scarlet and Violet with the big open world, like they had in Sword and Shield, but on a new level. They added different storylines and such, was really cool. But obviously, Scarlet and Violet wasn't without its cracks in the armor. There is some areas where it can be improved. I am hoping for just like a tease of what's to come in advancements for the franchise, as well as potentially seeing maybe less popular spin-off series make a sneaky return, like a Pokemon
Hmm.
Conquest or a we were talking about before the show, but a Pokemon Coliseum. That would be kind of cool, right?
Yes, that would
Right,
be
that would
great.
be
Yeah.
that would be awesome.
Oh my gosh.
And I think that my main hope is just if we do see more of Legends EA, which is the main thing we're expecting, I do just want to see a game that looks and runs better than the last two major Nintendo Switch entries did. Scarlet and Violet, there were good ideas there. It was a fun game, but let's face it, it was an ugly game most of the time. And I think it damaged the brand. I think Nintendo knows that. I think the Pokemon Company knows that. Pokemon took a year off last year. They skipped a Pokemon Presents in August, which they traditionally do. Pokemon Presents can range anywhere between 8 minutes and 35 minutes, so we don't fully know what we're getting into today. But I'm just hoping with the year off, the extra time in the oven, Legends ZA is a game that looks nicer than what we've gotten the last couple times out for this franchise. 15 seconds to go. We're going to stay here and watch the Pokemon Presents right here with you on IGN, and then stick around after the show because we will have a full live post show where we will break down everything the Pokemon Company is about to show us on Pokemon Day 2025.
Let's do it.
Okay, the countdown hit 0. That's cute Pikachu.
Very cute Pikachu.
It's like starting soon. It's already 6 o'clock. Come on, guys. Let's go.
Burning daylight. Burning daylight.
The sun's about to come up, you know? It's not even up yet. Yeah. I do like
I'm
that
hoping
they've been
this-
playing the Pokemon music. Back.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's nice.
They have
yeah,
the
okay, we're
Very
back.
cute.
quite a lot too for now.
Okay, we're still
I
waiting
think
for the
this is-
Pokemon Presents to get started. The countdown hit 0, so it should be any second now that we see what the Pokemon
Yeah,
Company has.
They
to
might have
offer us.
another internal countdown on their side, you know?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. It'll
Peek
probably
behind
kick
the
off
curtain
with,
over at the Pokemon Company.
They just want
it'll
everyone to
probably kick off
get
with like
comfy.
15 minutes of the mobile games, Pokemon Cafe Remix, Pokemon Unite.
Oh, here we
So
go.
here we go. Here's Pikachu.
What do we got?
Hello everyone, I'm Ishihara from the Pokemon Company. Today,
Yay.
February 27, is Pokemon Day. This is the date the Pokemon Red and Pokemon Green games were first released in Japan, marking the beginning of the Pokemon series. It's been 29 years since the birth of Pokemon, and we've reached this milestone through the support of all you trainers around the world. Thanks to all of you, it's now possible to enjoy Pokemon each day in a variety of ways. We hope to keep bringing you new experiences to brighten your day-to-day lives with Pokemon. In today's broadcast, we'll be sharing all the latest news about Pokemon, including
New
our
titles.
newest titles.
Multiple
Please enjoy the
S, that's an
presentation.
S. Yay! Yeah.
It's the Netflix series Pokemon Concierge.
I see the
Take
chat
place
asking
at
if we can get the
Pokemon
volume
Resort
up on the
a
stream.
tropical island. The story follows Haru, who is still finding her feet as a new concierge, and Psyduck as they grow together through their interactions with the resort's Pokemon guests. Its charm lies in the warm visuals that can be achieved only through stop-motion animation. And new episodes of Pokemon Concierge are in
excited.
production. They are slated for release in September 2025. What sort of Pokemon will Haru and Psyduck welcome as guests next? Take a first look at a few of the Pokemon they will meet in this motion test footage. Just look at the
That's really cute.
personality and how they move. But there's more. For a limited time, the first 4 episodes are available to watch on Pokemon's official YouTube channel for free. Please take this chance to watch them if you haven't been able to tune in to Pokemon Concierge yet. And we hope you look forward to the new episodes as well.
Hello everyone, I'm Utsunomiya from the Pokemon Company. Next, we have a number of other announcements to share with you.
In Pokemon Go Tour Unova Global will take place on March 1st and March 2nd. This event can be enjoyed at no cost from anywhere in the world where Pokemon
Unova,
Go is
interesting.
available. During the
Yeah,
event, the
could that mean Gen
legendary
5
Pokemon
remakes?
Black Kyurem and White Kyurem will appear in raid battles and elsewhere. Also, trainers will soon have a chance to encounter Victini and Shiny Meloetta. We'll also share promo codes for everyone to enjoy. We hope you're looking forward to the new Season 2.
What's this?
And we saw the
Groudon and
Ruby
Kyogre.
Sapphire.
As is the Pokemon Masters.
Yeah.
Yeah, the mobile one.
Pokemon Masters.
I like Pokemon Masters. I kind of want to get back into it. It's fun.
Same.
I like the designs on those the Groudon and Kyogre.
Cute. I always love the art for this.
Mm.
Insanely cute.
They're churning through these fast, all their mobile game updates, so hopefully they'll have some great stuff in the second half.
Pokemon Sleep.
Yeah.
I need to get back into this too. Miss it. It's
Now
really
with
helpful.
the new Nightmare update.
I'm psychic for that. I don't know if I want Darkrai showing up for me. I'll take Cresselia though.
Pokemon Unite's so fun.
This is the one I need to get back into.
Oh, I'm Raichu.
Remote Stadium will be returning to ranked matches. Enjoy intense battles in the unforgettable Remote Stadium. A new type of battle is also arriving, called First to 500. In it, a new feature called Eos technology allows you to gain special effects when you score a certain number of points. Plus, look forward to an updated map with updated wild Pokemon. The win condition is simple. Be the first to score 500
Very
points.
fancy Suicune.
It is.
Buttoned up.
All right, here we go.
This is important for me.
What am I gonna be ripping next?
I played too much of this game. It's like people are like, what are you playing lately? I'm like, Pokemon TCG Pocket. That's it.
I kind of stopped battling, and I purely do it for the dopamine rush of opening new packs. It's so fun and it's way more affordable. Ooh, Tyranitar, let's go, baby!
Okay, this makes sense. I was wondering, ooh, Triumphant Legends.
Oh, it's out tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Nice. Guaranteed rares, let's go.
Ranked matches. Yeah. I shouldn't, but I'm gonna do it.
Cards.
Mega Evolutions, okay.
More cards to add to my binder.
Those are nice.
Cool.
We're expecting Mega Evolution Legends EA also, so this makes sense.
That's true.
Next, allow me to share some news about the Pokemon video game series. In the Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet games, we're celebrating Pokemon Day with a Rotom phone case giveaway. Along with a mass outbreak event and other in-game events to come.
They're still
A mighty
supporting it.
Meowscarada, Skeledirge, and Quaquaval will appear
Yeah,
in a
for
series
sure.
of Terra Raid battle events. And even more
the
Pokemon
future.
are planned to appear in the future. We hope you continue to enjoy the Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet games. Next, please have a
Okay,
look at
here we
this
go.
video.
Right, here we go.
No way. Are they bringing back the Game Boy games?
No, they're bringing back link cables. Just link cables for our Switches.
Oh, okay, no, they're doing the like
Okay.
look at how far Pokemon's come.
Series history.
bit.
Yep.
The legacy.
It's all about connectivity. So
Shout out to Jenga.
Oh. Not gameplay footage.
what?
What are we looking at?
That's not. This isn't actually happening in the game. You don't get zapped.
Okay, so it's a mobile game and a Switch game.
Yes.
Is it some sort of like stadium battler
That's what
for
it looks
mobile
like.
and console?
Yeah. Mega Evolutions.
Slides into.
Oh, cool. So mechanics from multiple generations.
Pokemon Champions. Yep, that sounds very stadium-like.
Mm-hmm. In development for Switch and mobile. That's a big deal.
Very
Makes
cool.
sense.
Yeah, that's neat.
Yeah,
that's
cool.
really cool.
What you've just seen is the world's first glimpse of a new title, Pokemon Champions. This title will be focused on the Pokemon battles you know and love from core Pokemon games. Pokemon Champions will continue the tradition of pitting your skills against those of other trainers from around the world, but this time we're aiming for these core-style battles to be enjoyed by more players than ever before. Game Freak, the developer of the core games, is carrying out the planning for this project, while development is being handled by the Pokemon Works. And Pokemon Champions will be coming not only to the Nintendo Switch family of systems, but to mobile devices too. You'll be able to
Dangerous.
choose how you want to play based on where you are.
Yeah.
What's
Pokemon
more,
Home, so you can bring all your
also
Pokemon
connect
to
with
Pokemon
Home.
Champions.
Transfer.
Thanks to this connectivity, you won't be limited to using Pokemon you can
Ooh.
partner
Oh my
up with in Pokemon
gosh.
Champions. You'll be able to team up with Pokemon who
Pokemon
joined
just
you
got
on your
so much
adventures in
more
previous
valuable.
Pokemon games.
Yeah,
We hope
that's
you're looking
crazy.
forward to battling Pokemon
So you don't
trainers
have to
from
worry
all
about
corners of
like
the world.
what's included in what decks, because you can bring stuff in
Stay
from
tuned
home.
for future announcements regarding the launch date of Pokemon Champions. Next, we'd like to share some information about the languages Pokemon series games will be available in. Mr. Tomás Cortijo, please take it away.
Saludos a todos desde la nueva oficina de Pokémon en la hermosa Ciudad de México.
Hey.
Soy Tomás Cortijo, director regional para Latinoamérica de The Pokémon Company International. El día de hoy estoy muy feliz de anunciarles
Oh,
que
yay.
Pokémon Champions estará
That's awesome.
disponible en español latinoamericano
That's great.
desde el día de su lanzamiento. De igual forma, además de los 9 idiomas que los entrenadores y entrenadoras pueden elegir, Leyendas Pokémon ZA tendrá también la opción de jugarse en español latinoamericano. Esto significa que de aquí en adelante habrá 10 idiomas disponibles para jugar. Finalmente, como ya anunciamos con anterioridad, las futuras expansiones del famoso juego de cartas coleccionables de Pokémon estarán también disponibles en español de Latinoamérica. Localizar productos como Leyendas Pokémon ZA al español latinoamericano permitirá que millones de nuevos fans se unan a la comunidad global de Pokémon y se conecten con otros jugadores de formas nunca antes vistas. Como parte de The Pokémon Company Group, este es un claro ejemplo de nuestra misión de unir al mundo a través de Pokémon. Saber que los fans disfrutan aún más de jugar Pokémon en su idioma local nos permite explorar nuevas formas para deleitar a los jugadores de diferentes regiones y mercados como Latinoamérica. Este es un momento increíble para ser fan de Pokémon, sin importar en qué parte del mundo te encuentres, por lo que no puedo esperar para unirme a todos ustedes en sus próximas aventuras. Nos vemos pronto.
Finally, here's the latest update on Pokemon
Okay, time for
Legends
Legends.
ZA.
All
There we
right.
go.
This looks nice so far.
Yeah.
Oh, there's the starters. Okay, Totodile,
Yeah.
Tepig, Chikorita.
I'm a-okay with getting some more time with my Chikorita.
I was like, I'm going for Totodile immediately.
Yeah, Totodile 100%.
Okay, that looks like Legends Arceus gameplay with the Pokeball.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
We're hopping the rooftops. Okay, cool.
New mechanic.
Here's the Mega Evolution.
Mega Evolution.
Megas.
Yep.
Nice new, a nice animation for that.
Yeah.
So far, very much like Arceus.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Mhm. A
Oh.
version of Zygarde?
Is it in the past though, or is it like a? It looks kind of modern.
Yeah.
Pokemon Legends ZA is a new title in the Pokemon series. The story takes place
It looks
in
big.
Lumio
It's
City,
significantly
the
bigger
largest
than it
city
was in
in the
X and Y,
Kalos
obviously.
region. Prism Tower stands tall at the center of this city of beautiful vistas.
It's a
These
future
days,
one.
Lumios is undergoing a high-tech urban redevelopment plan to turn it into a city that people and Pokemon truly share. After you arrive in Lumios City to see the sights, you'll meet 3 Pokemon, one of which will become your first partner.
Love it.
Chikorita, Tepig, and Totodile. You'll choose one of these Pokemon to accompany you on a new journey as you get to know Lumios City and its inhabitants. Here are some of the colorful characters you'll encounter. When you arrive in Lumios, you'll meet a new friend and ally, either Urbane or Tawny. The hotel where you'll be staying is run by AZ. You'll also meet his partner, Floette. Lumios's redevelopment is being managed by Quasartico Inc. You'll become acquainted with the company's CEO Jet and her secretary Vinny. The different people you meet will make your time in Lumios all the richer. To help people and Pokemon coexist, the city has set up wild
cool.
zones. These areas, located throughout Lumios, give wild Pokemon habitats where
That's
they can
interesting.
thrive.
Yeah.
To catch one of these wild Pokemon, aim carefully, then throw a Pokeball. If you're having a hard time catching one, have one of your Pokemon use its moves to weaken the target, making it easier to catch. This game offers a style of Pokemon battling not seen in previous titles.
Oh.
Moves can have a longer or shorter
Whoa.
range, or different areas of effect. So,
So it's a
choose
little
your
more like
timing and
real time.
positioning carefully to gain the upper hand.
It's interesting.
I like that.
Lead your partner Pokemon through battles and dodge incoming attacks. Swap Pokemon if you need to and find the right moment to unleash a move. What's more, certain Pokemon can go beyond evolution by undergoing Mega Evolution. When a trainer's Keystone resonates with the Mega Stone held by their Pokemon, the Pokemon will do more than just change shape. It'll unlock a new level of power, turning the tide of battle in its favor.
The trash Pokemon's already trash. Why we gotta bully it?
As Lumios continues its transformation into a city that belongs to both people and Pokemon, who knows what kinds of encounters and experiences will await you. Pokemon Legends ZA,
No release date,
coming
later
late
this year,
2025.
and still just a mention of Switch 1.
Promotion match?
What was that? That was a
Pokemon
weird
Legends
tease.
ZA is scheduled to release in late 2025. We hope everybody can wait just a little longer for their adventures in Lumiose City to begin. That concludes our announcements
Alright.
for today. Thank you very much for watching.
Okay. That is about it. Looks like they're going to have a little wrap-up video here with Pikachu again. All right, thanks, Pikachu.
Yay, Pikachu!
I saw the energy he had for the TV.
Welcome to the post show for the Pokemon Presents for Pokemon Day 2025. We just watched the Pokemon Presents. It ran just about 20 minutes. We got a lot of updates on Pokemon's mobile games, and then finally a big look at Pokemon Legends ZA, the first time we've seen it since they announced it on Pokemon Day last year. I'm Logan Plant alongside Jada, Miranda, and Nick. Let's do some quick impressions of the Presents as a whole, and then we'll get into the biggest thing shown, Pokemon Legends ZA. Jada, what'd you think of this Pokemon Presents?
I think it was okay. It didn't really, spark my big interest when it comes to Pokemon. There wasn't a whole lot of crazy new things. We knew about ZA already. The updates to the mobile stuff is fine and all. Nothing too crazy for me. Pokemon Champions is intriguing though, so I am interested to see a little bit more details on that. And I'll get more into my thoughts on ZA later. But I'll let everybody else kind of jump in.
Miranda, what'd you think?
Pokemon Champions is such a great idea. Like, I think
Yeah.
it makes sense. They've probably seen the success of like TCG, that people want to battle and have more time to just focus on battling, and pulling that out into its own thing, whatever that's going to look like, is really cool. I know we'll get into it a bit more, but like the value for Pokemon Home now has just like gone so much higher if you
Mhm.
care about battling, and want to bring your buddies that you've worked hard to train with you. So I overall really like the show. I think it was about what I expected. I don't think they want to announce too much, and probably kept it more mobile focused, because we got a new Switch coming up, and
Me too.
they kind of
Mhm.
can't talk about anything on there yet.
Yeah. Nick, how about you?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I thought it was overall pretty okay, kind of what I expected, but I think the big standout for me was probably Pokemon Champions. Same here, same as everyone here. I think that the promise of potentially being able to bring all of your Pokemon from forever into a mobile space and on the Nintendo Switch family of systems is very exciting, because I mean that's kind of the whole point of Pokemon now at this point. So pretty stoked and excited to chat about that a little bit further. Same with ZA. Was not quite what I was expecting, so that should be an interesting convo around that one.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought it was a fine show. I'm glad that we saw more of Legends EA, and I thought what they showed looked pretty good. I think that obviously this is their footage, their very curated footage they chose to show us, but right now it's looking like a step up performance-wise from the last couple of Switch games, so that was good to see. And Pokemon Champions is a big deal, and based on the reactions I got from all of you, maybe let's start there instead, because that seems to have garnered the most hype from this presentation. So Pokemon Champions was announced today. It is a new game coming to Nintendo Switch and mobile. They had iOS and Android on here also, and it's the first kind of Pokemon Stadium, Pokemon Coliseum battler like that we've seen in the Switch generation. We're seeing Pokemon battles. I think we see double battles on screen here, and you can bring your Pokemon from Pokemon Home, from Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, from wherever, into Pokemon Champions and battle with other trainers from around the world. So Miranda, you mentioned that this is a big deal for Pokemon Home. Talk about why.
Yeah, so basically, as I was saying in the intro, if you've worked hard to train your Pokemon, whether it's like in Pokemon Go, or as you said, like Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, like you really, I don't know, want to like carry on their legacy. Like, they were buddies. Like, that's such a big part of Pokemon, is that you build this connection with these creatures, and them being able to say like, hey, what if you get to take them to another experience, and like something that's new and refreshed. Obviously, we didn't see a ton of actual gameplay from this. It's just like, get them battling. It's like they are indeed battling. So that's kind
Mhm.
of as far as we know. Obviously, it's in development, but being able to just know that I can bring my favorite Pokemon with me and just try them their hand at against other trainers out there is just really exciting. I think especially if people like didn't want to go back to like Scarlet or Violet, but they still want to battle, they still want to go up against their friends, have little tournaments. This is a really cool prospect for that.
Yeah, Jada, you were
Yeah,
mentioning you're
I
excited
completely.
for it too. Go for it, Nick.
No, I completely agree. I think the thing that's most fascinating to me is, this isn't the first time they've had the ability to migrate your Pokemon from game to game or keep them in one reserved
Yeah.
spot. But I think
Mhm.
the thing that makes this more exciting for me than, say, something like Pokemon Home or Pokemon Bank is the fact that it is finally on mobile. The fact that it was always relegated to some sort of like console always felt like a little bit of a compromise to me, because it always felt like it will always be trapped on old hardware that, or on hardware that will inevitably become outdated. So the fact that we do have some sort of mobile server migration is very exciting, because now it finally feels like for the first time I can always have my Pokemon for me. And this is also a brilliant move from the Pokemon company in general, because now I actually have a reason to pick up my 3DS, repurchase Pokemon, blue, gold, silver, whatever, and then finally get into Pokemon Bank, and then from Pokemon Bank to Pokemon Home, then Pokemon Home to Pokemon
Yeah.
Champions. So
Mhm.
very, very exciting to finally go back and find a spot that I can aim towards bringing my Pokemon to.
Mhm.
Yeah, like I think Nick kind of nailed it. The ability to for mobile now just really opens up the world for bringing forward all those Pokemon we've trained throughout the years. Like obviously we've had those options, but not having them trapped is such a huge win for the Pokemon community at large when it comes to the actual games. It's fantastic. I'm very much looking forward to it. I'm very cautiously optimistic about how the battle system and how like the checks and balances are going to be. We've seen, there's been, hacked Pokemon in games and stuff like that. And like obviously tournaments are very good about that. So hopefully there's some good checks and balances in works for however Pokemon Champions is going to work. But I'm very excited for this, and I'm looking forward to diving back, and because I've let my Pokemon like kind of languish in some of the other versions. So I'm looking forward to actually moving them around now and bringing them forward for
Yeah.
Pokemon Champions.
Yeah, and then fellow Pokemon IGN superfan Reb Valentine, who couldn't be on the show this morning, messaged me and says that she's been saying they should make the exact pitch of Pokemon Champions for years now. Finally, yeah, this is such a great idea, and it is that thing we've been missing. And yeah, I think really the big slam dunk part of this for me is the mobile aspect of it, because Pokemon's been big on mobile for several years now. Pokemon Go was almost 10 years ago at this point, and really made that franchise take off in the smartphone space. And we've seen other games there, a lot of other mobile games that have had kind of cross releases on Switch and on mobile, like Pokemon Unite is one of them. But this is finally, I think, the first time you can actually bring your Pokemon from the core mainline Pokemon games to a mobile thing. That's a big deal. We're seeing on screen there are multiple different gimmicks and mechanics from past Pokemon generations here, like Mega Evolution from Generation 6, and then like the
Like
crystallizing.
terrestrialize.
Yes,
Yeah.
terrestrializing. Thank you, Miranda, from
Hmm.
Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, the newest one. So they're bringing a lot into this. It's still very early. We don't know much. We don't even have
Mhm.
a release date or release window for Pokemon Champions, but it's a big deal and very cool to see it. I do wish that this was kind of partnered with a drop of the classic Game Boy games on Switch Online, because
Mhm.
it's very hard to get Pokemon from like really early generations to Pokemon Home. You have to go through so many steps to get those early generations there. That would
Yep.
have been really nice with some interconnectivity there, but that was missing. Maybe we can get into that a little bit later. But let's talk about Pokemon Legends ZA. This is coming to Nintendo Switch in late 2025. We did not get a release date, which I'm actually okay with for the time being, right? If they don't know yet, if they're still
Mhm.
working on it, take their time. That's been the message that we've been delivering the Pokemon Company and Game Freak for a long time, so we'll stick with it now. But we got a big new trailer. This game takes place entirely within Lumio City in the Kalos region from Pokemon X and Y, and they've added these wild areas. So there is kind of this urban feel, but with these grasslands, these parks built within for wild Pokemon to roam around. We got to look at the 3 starter Pokemon. We got 2 Gen 2 ones, Chikorita and Totodile, I guess because Cyndaquil was in Legends Arceus, so he doesn't get to come back here. And then the other one is Tepig from Pokemon Black and White. So those are the 3 starters this time around. Jada, what did you think of the Legends EA footage?
Chikorita fans, rise up! It's all about Chikorita, baby. Grass types, always the best. Bulbasaur, Chikorita, Snivy, shout out. ZA looks cool. It is graphically not super impressive. Obviously, like it's still targeting a Switch hardware, so it's not going to be super crazy. It does look like it has a little bit more polish than we got from Scarlet and Violet, which is nice. I love the new battle mechanics around moving around, just like we had in Arceus. But it looks like they've kind of turned that up a notch and kind of dialed it in to make it a little bit more tactical, which Arceus already was tactical, but this looks like they've taken it a step further. So I'm very excited for the gameplay of this. Not excited for how it looks, essentially, but I think it'll hopefully deliver on that next version of Arceus that we're kind of hoping.
Yeah, let's talk about how it looks real quick. You mentioned that you're not super thrilled with it. Talk about why.
Yeah, I mean, it just it's really tricky, I guess, with when it comes to Pokemon to have these very animated, bright characters that are, obviously from sprites that were born from sprites, bringing into like this kind of art style with, human beings and such like that. So like it's very different compared to like when everything was on the same level playing back in the Game Boy days. I think it just, I mean, some of the effects in here look good, but I just know there are a lot of people that are really hoping for Nintendo to kind of push the envelope. And I don't know how much more that they can with the current hardware and how much they need to specifically, but I know some people will be a little bit we're hoping for more.
I think just to touch on that really quickly, I think for me what it is like when you're in the big open areas, it looks just a little bit flat texturally. And that's
Yes.
kind of what makes it feel a little off. I think the Pokemon and the character designs look great. Like that looks good. I
Hmm.
like the design details in the buildings. Like we see a lot of foliage and stuff. Like I think the urban environment works pretty well for this. But I think that's the flatness. And I think as you're saying, like contrasted to like the vibrant Pokemon that do have textures to them, just feels like a little weird. Like it does feel a little, I guess, boxed in a way because of that kind of flatness to things. Um, that was my
I
thought on
think
the design at least. But I like the setting. I
Mhm.
think it looks nicer than
Yes,
Arceus.
I
So
agree.
Yeah, Arceus had like very like if you looked too close at the cliff faces or at the grass, the textures just weren't fully there. And this does look nicer. And I see a lot of people in our live chat on IGN saying that they do not think this game looks good. And yeah, just it goes to show where the bar is, I think, for visuals in a Pokemon game right now. Because I look at this and I think it's a clear step up from the last 2 entries
It
we've
definitely
gotten, but
is.
still maybe not quite where we want this franchise to be. But it is a step in the right direction from what we've seen so far. Only a few minutes, and I think that we've talked about Pokemon taking a year off and maybe realizing that Scarlet and Violet isn't something they can really repeat again if they don't want to damage the brand like I think they did last time when that game came out. And while this doesn't look up to par with maybe what we want from a modern Pokemon game in 2025, I think that this doesn't look like something as frightening as what Scarlet and Violet was. It's still early. We don't know how it's actually going to run when it's installed on our Nintendo
yeah.
Switches later this year. But for right now, I'm a little bit optimistic about what we're seeing here. Nick, what do you think?
it just seems a little odd to me. Like, I think part of the appeal of Legends Arceus was the fact that it was so open and large spaces, but that definitely was part of the problem around performance, right? There was so much uh I guess distance that the game had to render that it kind of struggled a little bit on that front. So like initially when I saw the closed off like urban setting in this a la Lumio City, I was a little bit concerned because it was kind of directly at odds with what I liked about Arceus being this open
Mm-hmm.
natural environment. But I think this might be a clever workaround for performance because those buildings are doing some heavy lifting in terms of reducing the need for LOD. And so the fact that we don't have as vast distances that the poor little Switch needs to render, maybe is working in its favor. I also do think that Legends Arceus did a good job of slowly introducing the thing that always appealed to me about Pokemon as a kid was the Ken Sugimori art of Pokemon and man working side by side together, whether it be Machoke holding a bunch of lumber while like a foreman human is telling them what to do. This is closer and closer to what I want, that realization of Pokemon and man living side by side in a occupied setting. And I think like an early Lumio city that is on the cusp of becoming this sprawling metropolis is such a interesting and fun setting that is getting me closer and closer to what I've always loved about Pokemon. So I'm excited. It looks fun. But yeah, it still definitely looks a little rough around the edges.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm-
And I like, go for it.
Oh, go ahead. I was just gonna say, I'm curious to see where they'll go with like the technology part, because like they are trying to say that this is like the cutting edge of technology in Pokemon. I'm like, what does that mean? Like we've seen like small
Mhm.
advances in mainline series of like what their technology looks like, and I'm like, ooh, this could be really cool, lore wise.
Yeah, it's interesting because Arceus took us way back, and now this is saying it's on the cutting edge. So it is kind of a different take. And yeah, Nick, I like what you were saying about how it is Pokemon and man living side by side, because I think the closest we've gotten to that in a Pokemon video game is in the Detective Pikachu games, which Miranda is a big fan of, and where you do see Pokemon living outside their Pokeballs alongside their trainers, and they have different roles in this world. And yeah, this gave me some vibes of that, of roaming around a city and just seeing Pokemon and seeing people. And I think that could be really, really cool. I do also want to talk about the combat, though, because it is a little bit different than Legends Arceus was. We're seeing more of a real-time bend to the traditional turn-based Pokemon battles, where you send out your partner Pokemon, you pick a move, and then you can kind of dodge out of the way. And in Legends Arceus, there were big boss battles where you were throwing fruit or food or some sort of pouch at a boss Pokemon to try and lower its enormous health bar. But now it seems like they kind of merged that with their turn-based battles, and you have the Pokemon, and if someone's rushing at your Pokemon, you can dodge out of the way, and your Pokemon will follow you. So, Jada, what'd you think of the new look at combat that we got?
I mean, that's really the shining thing from this trailer, right? The new combat, that, like you described it, the fact that they're kind of merging both systems into one. I think this is something that as kids we always wanted in Pokemon. You know, it's like watching the anime where Ash says "Dodge, Pikachu," and Pikachu
Yes,
dodges, and now
totally.
you can actually do that in the game, which is really cool. Like, I am very excited for that aspect of it. It'll be interesting to see how that comes into play when it comes to competitive nature for the games, whether the competitive actually involves that. If there is that competitive portion of being able to battle each other, I imagine they're going to have that because most Pokemon games have that, but I don't remember Arceus having that. It's been a while since I played that, so I don't remember if they had that portion in there. But yeah, I'm very excited for this. I really like the different attacks that they showcased on screen. It's really cool.
Yeah.
I think immediately it just looks like they actually put thought into the trainer battle portion of this, because that just wasn't there in Pokemon Legends Arceus. Unfortunately, in Legends Arceus, it kind of looked like they're like, "Oh shoot, we got to do trainer battles. Quick,
Yeah.
throw a Photoshop UI up and let's get some menu items and commands in there." Whereas this looks like it's actually mapped to accommodate some sort of 3D movement. And yeah, just as Jada said, as a kid, I've always wanted this blend of turn-based and real-time movement where I can, make my EV dodge in order to put myself in a position to counterattack properly. And this is finally doing that. I believe in Legends, you could only really do that in the overworld when you are battling wild Pokemon, where you'd have to avoid their attacks and use your Pokemon to weaken them. But in trainer battles, it was very much I am standing here while I issue commands. So this is a nice welcome refreshment to that or I'm sorry, refreshing of that combat system, because it just felt like it's white knuckle while you're navigating the overworld, and then in combat you relax, which seems a little bit weird to me. So now that it seems like you can actually put those skills that you learn in the overworld to the test in combat, which is a nice little refresher for combat.
Yeah, in Legends Arceus, it's one of my favorite Pokemon games in years. I absolutely love how they shook up the formula and tried something completely different. But I think my main criticism against it is what you were both saying. The battles did just feel kind of tacked on. They tried to introduce that strong style and agile style where you could give up your turn for a stronger one or take two faster ones in a row that were slightly weaker. And that was the big bend on battles, but it didn't really mesh with kind of the rest of the themes of the game, which was about this exploration and this Pokemon capturing. So I think the look at battles that we got here fits the style of the Legend sub-series much better, and I'm excited to see how much they play with it in bigger boss encounters and stuff that we'll surely see later down the line as we get closer to this game coming out. We're also seeing a ton of different types of Pokemon here. We're seeing from all generations. There's some Gen 5 stuff in there, like the garbage Pokemon. There's Sylveon, which was the evolution for Eevee introduced in Pokemon X and Y. So there's lots of different generations. Does any Pokemon stand out to any of you Pokemon super fans that we're seeing in the footage here?
I don't think any of the ones shown during the battles really. I mean, I got Chikorita, so I'm happy. Like, I love my Chikorita,
Yeah.
so I'm very
Uh-huh.
happy with that.
I'd have
Cool.
to do a deep
Yeah.
scrub. I don't think there's anybody that I'm like, oh my god, it's here. It's so
Mhm.
I think it would just be more. We gotta wait to see the full roster. Like that takes quite a bit of time.
Yeah, if
Yeah, I
you're
think it's a little early for them to show any like, jaw-dropping Pokemon to include here. So, I mean, I was just pretty excited I saw Totodile, so I'm a happy boy there.
yeah.
um, really quick to go back to battling for a second.
Mhm.
We didn't talk about Mega Evolutions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
go for it.
Basically, I just wanted to say that I'm excited. I feel like a lot of
Uh-huh.
people love Mega Evolutions. Like they are just such a fun mechanic in battling. The designs are incredible. I think this is probably my favorite like evolution design for like a special evolution. Um, and seeing this come back and get like this beautiful animation is really what I wanted to see. So it's not necessarily a Pokemon that I'm looking for. It's more about the
Mhm.
evolutions. Like I saw my sweet baby Sableye its mega evolution, and I was like, yes, that's what I want. So I think that's more of also what I'm excited for, and with this sort of interesting strategy mix of having those real time elements and seeing how that's gonna shake things up of like, oh, got a clutch mega bubbles attack is like approaching, I think
Mhm.
that could lead to some pretty interesting moments whenever you're battling.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
Mega
mean, I think
Evolution is a go for it, Jada.
I was gonna say I think Mega Evolutions is probably the biggest fan favorite for all of the battle mechanics that they've
Yes.
added over the
Mhm.
years. Like we had the what Z moves for Sun and Moon. There's the terrestrialization for Scarlet and Violet, but I don't think either of those have ever really held up when it comes to Mega Evolution.
You can't
Yeah,
do
I
that
agree
during
on that.
skier.
Gigantamaxing.
You can't do that here.
Gigantamaxing.
Gigantamaxing was lame. Yeah, I was not a
Don't
fan
crush
of
the
that one.
city.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the generation that they started to really introduce a new battling mechanic. Because prior to that, it was still mixing up kind of how many were in battles. Like Gen 5 introduced the triple battles and the rotation battles, which I don't really think we've ever seen again. But then starting with Gen 6, it has been a it's reductive to say like a press to win button, but sometimes it could feel like that. Like with the Z moves in Sun and Moon, you pick a Z move, you're gonna knock out the Pokemon you're facing in one hit, most likely. So yeah, Gen 6 with the Mega Evolution, I do think was the most inspired version of that because then yeah, it was a wind move in Pokemon Sun and Moon, and then a huge Pokemon in Sword and Shield, and then a Crystal Pokemon in Scarlet and Violet. So this was its peak. Really cool, unique Pokemon designs with the Mega Evolutions. I'm excited to see what ones get some new evolutions. I think one of the last angles to hit on here with Legends ZA is it's a Nintendo Switch game, according to this Pokemon Presents. No Switch 2 logo. No mention of Switch 2 whatsoever in this presentation. Of course, we are all waiting for the big April 2nd Nintendo Direct from Nintendo itself, where they're going to show off a ton of stuff about Switch 2, including no doubt a bunch of games. But I've been firmly riding the horse saying that this is just going to be a Switch 1 game. It'll be backwards compatible, playable on Nintendo Switch 2, but Pokemon always lags behind a year. You can go back pretty much every generation. Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon come out when the Switch is already out. Black and White 2 come out when the 3DS is already out. This is a thing that they do. So I don't think Legends EA is going to have a Switch 2 version. You'll be able to play it on Switch 2. The jury's still out on if there's going to be natural performance boosts for Switch 1 games that are playing on Switch 2. We don't know the answers to that yet. Nick, do you think this is a Switch 1 game, or do you think it could also appear on Switch 2 with its own dedicated version?
Unfortunately, you were right, Logan. This is going to be Switch 1. And the reason why I say that is because they made a point in the Pokemon Championship, like what it'll be available on. They said mobile and Nintendo Switch family of systems. And for ZA, they did not say Nintendo Switch family of systems. They said Nintendo Switch, which leads me to believe that this will probably just be backwards compatible. A little bit of a bummer there, but I get it. It makes sense. I just I got a dream, man. I got a dream.
I'll be
Miranda
curious
or
to
Jada, what do you
see.
think?
I'll be curious to see how far along this launches after the Switch 2 console launches, because Scarlet Violet dropped in November of that
Mhm.
year. So we could be looking at that same window, because game development companies are often cyclical and, like, are creatures of habit and tend to release their games around the same months. So we could be seeing this around then. I don't remember the month for Arceus. So if Arceus was sooner, maybe
January.
they're was it January? Okay, so yeah, that's definitely. I mean, if they're targeting 2025, that's not happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if, we get the Switch Direct in April, and they Switch 2 Direct in April, and they say, "Hey, Switch 2 coming in September or October," and then Pokemon game is November, but it's the old console. So it'll be interesting to see if it's only a month behind, or maybe 2-3 months if the Switch 2 is here sooner than we expect it to be.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a shame that we didn't get a month for this even, because I think that would have given us a little bit of a clue into when the Switch 2 is coming out, because they're going to
Hmm.
separate them. They're not going to overlap them. November feels right for this for me. Pokemon tends to kind of own November, and you go back, a lot of the Switch era of Pokemon is the big Black Friday November video game. I'm pretty sure Sword and Shield launched in November as well. So I think it will probably land around then, and I think we're all expecting the Switch 2 to be a little bit earlier, maybe September, maybe sometime in the summer. But Miranda, before we move on, do you think there's any chance this is a Switch 2 game, or are you with us if this is Switch 1?
I'm begrudgingly with you guys.
Okay,
Although I
begrudgingly.
do hope. Also, sorry if you guys heard some Pokemon battling IRL happening just a second ago. I have cats. Anyway, I'm hoping that there is some sort of upscaling or some sort of performance boost. Something we didn't get into is the exploration. Like we saw some vertical
Mhm.
exploration moments, like dropping across buildings and other things. So I'm hoping that there are things to support the transitions and the scale of areas. Just because you know, based on Legends, it could use the help. So,
Yes. Mhm.
I'm hopeful that there will be something there to make the Switch 2 performance at least. I'm sure it will just naturally be better, but you never know.
Yeah. Yeah. So that
Only
is
kind of
Pokemon.
half. Sorry to interrupt,
You're
Logan, but
good.
only kind of joking, but a little curious to me. Late 2025, does this mean that Pokemon's gonna have to go up yet against another game with a bunch of guns and adult themes, a la Grand Theft Auto 6?
Yeah.
Like,
Uh-huh.
I know GTA 6 is aimed at adult, but like, let's be real, kids love Grand Theft Auto, so like, I don't know if I've ever seen a Pokemon game go up against a GTA, which is kind of interesting to me.
I hope not.
Yeah, there
I
are
don't have time for both.
two. Yeah, for sure. I know they're both going to be really huge. There are two open world games that take place entirely within a giant city that are sequels to 2013 video games coming out this fall. It's GTA 6 and Pokemon Legends ZA. So that it was the bulk of the presentation. Anything else on ZA before we move on to some of the other updates we got in this presentation? Are we good?
I have one quick thing.
Yeah.
This has made me want even more so, kind of going back to Nick's comment way, way, way long ago. I want a Pokemon Town Sim. I want Pokemon Town Sim so bad. Like, just let
Mm-hmm.
me raise my Pokemon. Let's live together. I hope they have some of those elements in this. Like, obviously, ZA or other Legends games are like a bit of a playground for them to experiment with different mechanics. And it feels like in the mainline series, each iteration, we're getting further and further away from bonding with our Pokemon. Um, Sandwiches, sure. I can throw a ball, I guess, but that's I can pet you, can kind of brush you a bit, but it feels like that's like the baseline. That's the baseline, and like previous games have had more. There's more interaction. Um,
Hmm.
so that's just gonna throw out there for my
Yeah.
wishes. Would love to see it.
Yeah, like I think that there is a long way to go with that. I think that one of the most memorable things in the whole series is still Heart Gold Soul Silver when your first Pokemon in your party actually follows you around. That is just I think that's a
Hmm.
reason that sticks in so many people's minds as the best Pokemon game is because that's just a big part of it. That those really cool sprites following your main character and just anything closer to that would be really cool to see in Legends EA. Let's talk about. Well, we're going to get into what wasn't there in a little bit, but let's wrap up what was there with an update of the mobile game things that we saw, and then we also got an update that there's going to be new Pokemon Concierge episodes, which was the Netflix show that is super cute. And Miranda, you were super happy about this.
Yes, I love that show. I think I sobbed during one of the episodes. Like it's such a beautifully animated show. It's stop motion. They do such a stellar job with it. The characters are really charismatic. It's short. I actually noticed a few days ago that they were putting the first few episodes up on their YouTube. So if you don't have Netflix, you can just go watch the first few and see if you like it. Maybe like go watch it at a friend's house or something, or get a trial to Netflix if you don't want to pay for it. And I'm so happy to see them bringing it back. It kind of goes along with the like I want a Pokemon Town sim, but it's just like
Hmm.
Pokemon existing in this hotel and like getting to relax. And it always reminded me of Pikachu's Vacation, where it's like the Pokemon vacation
Mhm.
place. It's
Yeah.
time for them to go and chill. And you get to see a lot of that here. And of course, this person trying to figure out how to be a good Pokemon concierge.
Yeah, it's very very cute. So that is cool, and Psyduck taking center stage in season one of that show. One of the best Pokemon. So yeah, I'd love to see Psyduck again in this key art. And yeah, if you're listening to the podcast later on audio services or watching the VOD, we're doing this live. So if there's more that comes out about Legends EA, we're going off our initial reactions in the trailer. Right? There's probably going to be more to talk
Yeah.
about in the coming weeks about when we dig into it more. And Miranda has some crazy analysis piece up about the 200 Pokemon that she saw in the Legends EA
I'm already
trailer.
making
But
notes. Yeah, check out the
amazing.
guide. We're gonna have a full list of all the Pokemon that we saw. Like we look frame by frame. It's intense.
Mhm. Yeah, you do great work over there. So we're gonna have all that, but this is just our raw reaction for right now. Jada, of all the other updates we saw, there was Pokemon Sleep, Darkrai and Cresselia are coming, which they're the Dream and the Nightmare Pokemon, so that makes a ton of sense. TCG Pocket was there with a new set that's out tomorrow on the 28th, and ranked matches are coming. There's Mega Evolutions coming to TCG Pocket as well, and then there was a lot of other mobile game stuff here. Anything stick out to you specifically, Jada?
I think the biggest one for me was probably Pokemon Unite. They're bringing some new costumes because I believe Suicune's already in there. It's been a while since I played Unite. I've lapsed. I played it really strong for probably about 3 to 6 months after launch, and then just kind of fell off of it just because other bright new shiny things in this world. And there's so many games to play.
Yeah.
But I'm very excited for what they showed. They're bringing back the original map, which is great, and I'm kind of excited to jump back in and see what it's about and see how it's evolved since its launch. What, like 3 years ago now?
Yeah, it
I
was a
want to
while
say
ago
it's
now.
been a yeah, it's been a minute. So I'm very excited to see what this kind of looks like in this day and age, and you know, looks like some cool stuff coming.
Nick, I know you were excited about the Pokemon TCG Pocket reveal.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of that game's like PvP or yeah, player yeah PvP battles and stuff like that. But man, the game just does such a good job of the dopamine release of I got new packs, it's time to open them. Let's see what I got. Me and my coworkers, in office, we're always okay. It's time to rip packs. Let's do it. Let's do it. And we, shouting at each other at all the cool pulls that we've gotten. So having a new set to pull tomorrow is exciting, and also the announcement that there will be guaranteed rarity for the current pack. I think believe it's today if I'm not mistaken. I forget what the little title card said, but yeah, just excited to open new cards and uh, just look at all the beautiful designs. And
Yeah,
Tyranitar, he's my homie. Yeah, I forgot.
yeah, it is, I think, the part that they nailed most about TCG Pocket. I played it for a couple of weeks after launch, and just the act of opening the packs is so satisfying, and they nailed that feeling of, oh, I'll just open one more. I'll earn the points to just pull one more pack right now, and it's really good to see the support that this is getting. It didn't pop off quite to the same extent as Pokemon Go did. That was just a phenomenon, and everybody was out and about in public going to Pokestops and catching these things. But I feel like it was one of the biggest viral moments the series has had in a very, very long time when this thing launched, and it's cool to see it keep getting support.
Yeah,
I
TCG
do think
Pocket.
it has.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say real quick. I do think it has revitalized the obsession with the physical card game as well, because they are
Yeah.
all the current prismatic set is borderline impossible to find nowadays. So it didn't have the Pokemon Go effect quite to that extent, but it did have some financial impact on the
Hmm.
physical game.
Yeah, I think compared to Pokemon Go, this is not nearly as accessible. Like if you're just opening packs to collect cards, that's one thing, but I feel like that could get kind of dull if that's all. Unless you really love just collecting the art. But I don't think that really extends as well to non-Pokemon fans like Pokemon Go did, because it's like, everyone wanted to get out, everyone wanted to see each other, that kind of thing. Whereas with this, I think if anything, it's gotten longtime Pokemon fans like me actually playing the card game, even though I think Nick,
Mm-hmm.
you mentioned too, mechanically, some of the battling systems are it's like battling light, right? Like there's some stuff that's just not quite
Yeah.
there yet. But then
Yeah.
also like the rules aren't necessarily always explained in the best way. So you kind of have to like figure stuff out yourself. And I think that is definitely not very friendly to people who are not familiar with the game or are like fine with the learning curve. So yeah.
I
Trading card
see a
games,
lot
yeah.
of people I see a lot of people in the chat that are still with us watching live this morning, just bemoaning that there were no classic games announced for Nintendo Switch Online, no
Hmm.
collection to buy of the original generations of the Game Boy games or the Game Boy Advance games. So let's talk about that. Let's transition here into what was missing from the Pokemon Presents for 2025, because I think that is the big miss. A Gen 10 tease would have been nice, but we know that's coming. But classic Pokemon games, we don't know. It might just miss Nintendo Switch. It could just not happen this time around. And I think in a year where Pokemon Legends isn't coming till late in the year, you're maybe waiting to talk about Gen 10 plans because they're probably Switch 2 games for late next year. So you can't really talk about those yet, which is exciting if we are jumping to the next gen for Generation 10. It's just such an easy win to plop those things on Switch Online or even sell them separately in the eShop. They would sell millions
Hmm.
and millions of copies of just a $10 Pokemon Red, or a collection where you bundle Gen 1 and 2 together and sell it for 30. It would sell like gangbusters. So and we talked about this a couple weeks ago on NVC. If you look at the NSO library, pretty much all of Nintendo's iconic franchises are very, very well represented. You have almost every Mario, Zelda, Kirby, Metroid game you would want, and pretty much no Pokemon. There's some of the spin-offs like Puzzle League or Stadium or Snap, but there isn't classic Pokemon RPGs on Nintendo Switch Online. And Jada, every Pokemon Presents that comes
Hmm.
and goes, it just feels like a bigger and bigger miss.
Yeah, I have to wonder if Nintendo is waiting to drop another like giant subscription pack that is all the Pokemon games. Somewhat similar to like how we have all the Game Boy Color games, all the Game Boy Advance games, how those are different segments, those are different apps that you have to get on your Switch that you download to play those specific games. I have to wonder if Nintendo is maybe approaching Pokemon like that and like, hey, we've got a new Pokemon expansion for your Switch Online membership. It's an extra $10 a month, and here's all the Pokemon games, and we'll be updating it with more as time moves forward. I would not want that, but I would not be surprised if that is the approach that Nintendo took so they could milk it for longer instead of just putting everything out at once, or uh give people the hope that, hey, okay, cool, red and blue are here. When are we getting silver and gold and crystal and
hmm
emerald and ruby? When are we getting these? And like, oh well, they have a service now, so they're gonna come eventually. We just have to keep paying the $10 a month for these. I don't know what Nintendo's plans are around it. I do hope eventually we do see them revisited and brought forward to the modern age for more people to be able to experience it, because there's a lot of kids out there that never played the older ones that I'm sure would like to. So,
I think we might see something next year. It's the 30th anniversary, so I think that's
hmm
going to be where they try to hit something. I'm actually a weird one. I kind of would love to see them go back to Let's Go, because I think that was
Oh
such a
yeah.
great
hmm
introductory way to every fresh old games and bring
I
them
agree.
into the modern era. And also, that, like Jada, your point, if it's about kids, I think that's just such a approachable way for really young kids to get in, and also people who just like Pokemon Go and just want to like throw Pokeballs at Pokemon and catch them without so much of a focus on battling. which I know is
Mm.
not necessarily the most popular thing with a lot of Pokemon fans, and that's okay. Like, there's all sorts of Pokemon fans out there, and I'm one of them that really did love Pokemon Go or Let's Go and Pokemon Go. But
Yeah,
yeah, so I
Let's Go
think
is it's the best looking Pokemon game on Switch, like mainline Pokemon game. It looks
Yeah.
really, really
Mhm.
nice. It's simple, it's self-contained, just the original 151 with that new style. I was a little lower on the Let's Go announcement when it happened, but those turned out to be some of the better Pokemon games from this generation. So I totally agree. A Let's Go Johto with the gold and silver brought back in that style would be really good and really successful. But even if they did that, I still think there's room to drop the original ROMs on Switch. I think that like
sure.
Mhm.
is there some fear that the remakes won't sell as well if they do that? I don't know, because you look at something like Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Rescue Team DX, which was a remake of Blue and Red Rescue Team, and then they put Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Red Rescue Team on Switch Online. So they already have an example of remaking a
Mhm.
game and dropping the original version of it on the Nintendo Switch system. So I just think I don't know why they're not doing it, because it's like this is the year Pokemon took off. This is the quiet time for the franchise. Pokemon
Hmm.
TCG is hotter than it's ever been right now, and a lot of that is
Yeah.
nostalgia for the original Pokemon. Maybe you're right, Miranda. Maybe it's just a 30th anniversary play. That would make a lot of sense for next year. But this felt like the year to me that they should really just finally do this.
It would be a nice
So,
win for sure.
yeah, it would be.
Half expecting, like in that same vein, I think that the Let's Go is probably the smartest angle they could have taken with remaking the original Pokemon games. I think,
Hmm.
what is pushing A if not just pretending to throw a Pokeball? So, the gameplay in those original Pokemon titles is pretty primitive by today's standards, but I do think that the Let's Go formula of it is such a smart take on it. So I thought the inevitable next step would have been Let's Go Gold and Silver. Whichever Pokemon they want to make the mascots for that, go for it. That feels like the natural thing since we don't have any sort of modern Gold and Silver outside of like the Heart Gold and Soul Silver. So
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
that seems like the inevitable next move. And in terms of Dream remasters, I think we were talking about it before we went live, but Coliseum and Gale of Darkness would be my dream, just because those games, more story focused, a little bit darker, a little bit mature. You could, quote unquote, steal opponent trainer Pokemon, which I thought was interesting as a kid.
Hmm.
Those games are trapped on GameCube at this point, so I would
Yeah.
love some modern way of playing them, and of course, some sort of cross functionality with Pokemon Champions. That'd be my dream is Pokemon, for the 30th anniversary, maybe we will get some sort of, HD 2.5 for Pokemon Red, Blue, Gold, and Silver, but
Mm.
I don't, a boy can dream, but I doubt it.
Yeah, it's. I know they're in a really tough situation because there's so many Pokemon. There's over 1,000
Mhm.
of them now, and so it's really hard to just upend everything and say make a new art style. But I do think mainline Pokemon would really be served well by some sort of pixel art thing. But it's so much work when you're talking about 1,000 characters, and if you don't have all of them, people kind of lose their minds. So yeah, I would love
Yep.
to see a refresh for this because yeah, I think Legends EA looks fine, but I'm getting a little tired of these very generic 3D models of Pokemon. I think that Pokemon peaked in how it looked in like Black and White too, with that animated pixel art style that was just gorgeous. And ever since the jump to 3D with X and Y, to me, it's never looked as good. And I might just be an old school Pokemon fan,
I
so I don't know.
actually like the
Miranda, you're
3D
shaking your head at
models.
me.
I like the 3D models. I
Yeah,
like them.
why?
Yeah, I think they're cute.
Yeah, they're fine. I'm just, I
I
don't know, I'm
think it's
just picky.
I want a little
they're
bit.
both good.
I want a little bit. I want a little bit more detail on them. I'm with you, Logan.
I
Like they
think
Mm.
look. They're. I think I agree with Miranda. They look good. They have an enjoyable kind of style. But I mean, you could add just so much extra like textures and details to their models, and I think that would really help them just like sing.
I certainly wouldn't be opposed to them doing a spin-off in a different kind of art style and like just playing
Mhm.
around with it, giving it like some different textured look or whatever they decide is best for them.
Yeah.
I I think that I agree. I think the black and white era is the pinnacle of Pokemon art style personally. I'm an old man, so of course that's my favorite looking of them. I think there was a lot of personality, but I will say in regards to Miranda, I think that the X and Y, even all the way up to Sun and Moon, I think that that 3D art style had a lot of charm, but I do think that the jump to Switch stripped a lot of personality, in my opinion, to a lot of the Pokemon because they were kind of reduced to, very simple animations, whereas the, 3DS, DS all the way to 3DS, they had so much personality with
Sure,
how those
yeah.
Pokemon animated. So I think
Mhm.
it was more so the Switch generation for me, where
Yeah.
it started to lose a lot of the magic just because they felt more robotic to me.
Mm.
Yeah, I think that that's where I'm at with it too, Nick. I just think that some of the animations leave some to be desired. The art style is fine, but sometimes it's just a little bit stiffer. But hopefully, maybe with Gen 10 or something, they'll come a long way with how these games actually look. So let's actually talk about Gen 10 for a second. We were hoping, crossing our fingers, maybe just maybe there would be a little bit of a tease, maybe just a starter reveal or a region overview or something for Generation 10, which we're all expecting hopefully next year to coincide with Pokemon's 30th anniversary in 2026 of the game's launch in Japan in 1996. So we're thinking that's going to come next year. It wasn't here. This was not a big look at the future of Pokemon. Probably saving that for the 30th anniversary Pokemon Day next year. But with the last little bit of time we have left here, let's talk about what we kind of want from the future of Pokemon. What worked in the Switch generation? What didn't work in the Switch generation? And moving on to the Switch 2 generation, what are kind of our hopes and expectations for Pokemon as a whole? Anyone want to jump in and go first? I know it's a big question.
I want to see them shake up the gym formula again. I know we kind of
Yeah.
did a little bit of it, but it feels
Mhm.
like when we went to Alola, that felt genuinely different. And like kind of the requirements to be able to go do your challenges and like just the story setting around it, I felt like that was exactly what I was looking for. And then they kind of started stepping back from that. And I really want to see that again, just because it makes the adventure feel unique to that region in a very specific kind of way that goes beyond go in there and battle. You gonna go
Mhm.
Gigantamax? You gonna terrastalize? I'm like, yes, yes, of
Yeah.
course. But like beyond that, it didn't really feel that special. I would say so. That's something I really want to see again. In addition
Mhm.
to getting more opportunities to bond with your Pokemon in a meaningful way.
Mhm. Yeah, those are good picks. I agree with that. I think that Sun and Moon, that was a cool deviation. They had the trials instead of the gym
It,
leaders. And at the end of the day, it still boiled down to you go to these 8 places and you do these 8 things. But it was a cool shakeup, and I'd like to see them play with that a little bit more. And they tried in Scarlet and Violet too. You can go to the gyms in any order. But one of my issues there was that there was no level scaling, right? So the first gym you
Mhm.
go to could have level 40 Pokemon, and it just so happened the order I played it in, the eighth gym I went to was the easiest gym. It had level 7, level 10 Pokemon, and like, wow, this gym leader's just terrible. They don't deserve to work here. I should be leading this gym. And so it would make way more sense if every gym leader has this different team, this different set of Pokemon. They look at the challenger, they say, Jada, you have 3 badges. Here's my 3 badge team I'm going to put up against you.
Mhm.
And then guides writers would figure out all 8 gym leaders different teams depending on what order you go there, and maybe there's a really difficult 8th gym if you save it for last on accident. There's a tough run or a really easy run that you could go through,
that
something
would
like
be
that.
a great way to challenge people, like add challenge people saying like Pokemon games are too easy. It's like, yes,
Yeah.
they're meant for people who can like anybody to play and like that
Mhm.
that needs to be a core feature of it. Like kids and people who don't know like the math behind it or crazy training, like they need to be able to play these and get through the game too.
Mhm.
And that would be a really cool way of like the challenge run of like, okay, this is the hardest way to go through the gyms versus the easiest. And maybe the easy way is like the hey, you should maybe go here next. Like that's like an in-game character saying and guiding you to the more traditional gym path versus the chaotic one or something. That'd be pretty sick.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
would
that'd
I
be
would
really
really
cool.
like that as long as there is, because I would want to play through it multiple times at that point just to see the different permutations. But I would also want a way of like saving my Pokemon, like without having to go through home or bank or something like that. To where if like I get a shiny on one playthrough, if I don't have home or bank or don't want to mess with that, even though most people who are really serious about Pokemon do, it'd be really cool to have like, hey, you can store like 15 Pokemon, and
Like
then
a new
after
game
you
plus,
finish,
New Game
basically,
Plus, yeah.
is what you're
yeah,
saying.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that would be great. And it's like, hey, here's, you can store your Pokemon, and then once you finish the 8 gym leaders, you can access these ones. And that way it kind of adds that kind of loop and even more replayability to Pokemon, which I think is kind of something that has, for me, lapsed. Like, I played a ton of Scarlet and Violet all the way till I finished the Pokedex. I did a bunch of shiny hunting, did a bunch of Terra raids, and then I just kind of stopped. And there was no reason for me to go back and revisit it because I had done all the story. I had done all the other story quests and such. And so, but having a smart way of tweaking the formula via like a new game plus, like you guys said, that would actually be really kind of cool and new to a Pokemon experience. That's something they've never done. So that could be fun.
Yeah, and I just
But
go for it.
yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I could just imagine that like changing how people Nuzlocke too. If you can finish a run and then carry Pokemon with you, like how many Nuzlocks can you keep this same team
Mhm.
alive or something like that? I think there's just a lot of cool opportunities to add replayability to this thing or add a different route or challenges for people like us who have been playing since the very beginning and want something fresh, but who need to realize that right Pokemon, like Miranda was saying, it's always going to be for the 7-year-old who it's their first generation and they picked their first starter and it's their best friend and they have their rival they want to beat. That's always who Pokemon should and is going to be for. And that is a good thing. This is a great starter RPG franchise. But for people like us who stick with it well into adulthood, I just like to see some slight wrinkles change to make it a little bit more interesting. I'm not asking them to radically change the core experience because I think Pokemon is good as what it is. And then for me, I think the other main thing I want is that Legends Arceus sold roughly 10 million. That's a huge success. It's not nearly as successful as the main lines, which sell like upwards of 20 million. So my hope is just the Legends series continues because we're getting Legends ZA, which I'm
Yeah.
very excited for. Arceus, like I said, was one of my favorite Pokemon games in years. It was about gotta catch 'em all rather than being the very best, and I thought that was just such a cool take on the Pokemon franchise. So my other main wish is just keep the Legends series alive. I'd love if every few years we get a new gen and then we get a new Legends that goes back and revisits another one. So yeah, I just love this series so much. Arceus was such a breath of fresh air for me, and I would love to see this continue beyond just ZA, but as we move on to Nintendo Switch 2. Nick, I want to hear from you. What do you want for the future of Pokemon?
Uh, the 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 softball for me is a Pokemon Snap 3, please. I love
Yeah.
Pokemon Snap dearly. I love Pokemon Snap 1 and 2, and I would love to continue that. Give me one set in the past. That'd be incredible. The form of like a Legends Arceus Snap. I love the idea of visiting, an ancient Kanto and, taking photos there. Being the first progenitor of the photo camera and stuff like that would be really fun. But my unrealistic, unfair wish, I know we just spent like the last 5 minutes chatting about how Pokemon is at its best when it is just an RPG that is pretty straightforward with some hopeful like optional challenge routes for the hardcores like us. But look, the way I see it, if Zelda can do it, Pokemon can do it. Give me a true Breath of the Wild like makeover for a Pokemon series. I would love nothing more than combining the kind of exploration we see in Legends Arceus with the dream Pokemon game we had in our minds as a child, where you would have to crawl into a cave and oh my gosh, there's rock Pokemon hidden there. You have to navigate. I don't know. I think that the dream Pokemon game is this blend of Legends with the mainline series that is a hardcore RPG with this form of exploration, because I feel like for me that's what Pokemon lacks right now, is exploring with my buddies. And I want to be able to uncover new areas that are hidden by only accessible via Pokemon abilities, kind of the way you do in Legends. But I don't know, it feels like it's just missing some sort of like almost Metroidvania aspect. Like I want to be able to have a reason to revisit areas apart from collecting new Pokemon. So again, this is a scattershot, gigantic AAA budget game, but I don't know. I just think that there is something that is on the cusp there, and no matter what happens, I say Monolith Soft. Pokemon Company, work with Monolith Soft, make it happen. They can make gigantic, gorgeous, stunning worlds that perform very well. So, get the budget. You got the budget, Pokemon Company, work with Monolith Soft. Come on.
Yeah, that would be great. Monolith, developers of the Xenoblade Chronicle series, and they also assist on the open world Zeldas, on Splatoon, on Animal Crossing New Horizons. They're one of Nintendo's most valuable studios. They do so much work on their first party stuff, and it
Hmm.
does feel like a no-brainer match for them to just pair up with Game Freak and the Pokemon Company to help out on some of this stuff, because the rate that they want to churn out these Pokemon games, as we've talked about, it became unsustainable. It'd be nice for them to bring in some help, and Monolith is a perfect studio to do it. So, of everything you just said in your pitch, Nick, that's my favorite part of it, is just bring in some help from them, because they know how to work on Nintendo hardware. They make beautiful, really ambitious games, and that's what Pokemon's trying to do right now. And I think it's really admirable they're going for it, but maybe they just need a little bit of help, as we've learned. Anything else on the future of Pokemon, or should we call it here? We're just about at time.
Latin
Yeah, I
American
mean,
Spanish. Sorry, just gotta
Oh
throw
yeah,
that
no,
in
yeah, go
there.
go ahead,
yeah,
talk
no,
about
it's
that for
great.
people who didn't watch the Pokemon Presents.
Real quick, yeah, I guess they're adding Latin American Spanish. That's what good good stuff right there. Yeah.
Yeah, to the future of games, and they talked about it for the trading card game too, right? That they're gonna
Yes.
have.
Hmm.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
that's very
so they're
cool
gonna
that
make
they
sure that
stuck
they
that in
have
there.
that. Yeah. So
It's so smart for Nintendo and Pokemon Company. I mean, that's talking about expanding your audience and getting a whole new generation more excited about things. Putting it in their language, in somebody else's language, is a great way to do that. So props to them. And it sounds like it's probably going to be an initiative they're probably going to every, I don't know, couple of years they'll probably start adding more languages to the list, which would be great. I
Yeah.
On the topic of future of Pokemon, we talked about this, I think, 2 maybe 3 weeks ago on NVC, Logan. But
Hmm.
I want them to continue what they did with Scarlet and Violet of introducing these other storylines, but I want them to expand on those and make them more meaningful as you play through them. I want the option, if I want to be like just if I just want to be like Brock and be a Pokemon groomer, or if I want to just do Pokemon shows and dress up my Pokemon and send them to competitions and become like world famous for that. Like, I want them to kind of expand on that aspect. They did a really good job with the other elements the other storylines they did in Scarlet and Violet, but I want to see that kind of like taken up to a more modern level. I think it was a very cool foundation that they built in Scarlet Violet, but I think there's so much more they can do with that style of just adding more than one quest of beat the gym leaders and beat
Hmm.
the Elite Four.
Yeah, I want to be a gym leader. I don't know why. It would just be like
That would be
battling
great.
over and over, but I've always wanted to be a gym leader in these games. I think that'd be something fun to do
I mean,
after you reach the credits.
they had what in was it silver and gold that they had where other trainers you could register trainers and they would ping you for a battle. They're like, hey,
Yeah.
blah 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 wants a
Hmm.
rematch, and
Yeah.
you'd go to them and do a rematch. Why not bring that system in and be like, hey, you've got a challenger at your gym, go battle through these challengers, or like you've got 5 challengers waiting for you at your gym, and it's a gauntlet battle through 5 trainers, no healing. Or
Hmm.
just like, different sets, different levels of difficulty, like you only get to take 2 into this battle. Okay, this is a double battle for this one. All right, you've got 3 on 3. Like, that would be a really cool kind of aspect of being a gym leader.
here's the thing: is you can cosplay that and hand make your own little badges with Pokemon champions eventually, and then you can challenge people, and they'll be like, "Ah, you won! I gotta send you a badge now."
Yeah,
So
I love
That's a
that.
great idea. Yeah,
there you
people set
go.
up Etsy shops for that for sure. Cool. Well, that is a very Pokemon filled episode of Nintendo Voice Chat in the books. We are usually here on Fridays, Thursday today because of the Pokemon Presents, with audio wherever you get your podcasts and a video version on YouTube and IGN.com. Thank you so much, Jada, Miranda, and Nick for waking up before the crack of dawn to join me to talk about the Pokemon Presents. And thank you to Red, Jobert, Marian, and everyone else behind the scenes to make this very early morning episode possible. Nintendo Voice Chat is an IGN production and part of the Geek Media Network. Check out our other weekly IGN and Geek Media podcasts like Beyond, where this week it's a big discussion of our Monster Hunter Wilds review. The game launches tonight, and I'm so excited for that to unlock at 9 p.m. Pacific time. Next week on NVC, it's our milestone 750th episode, and we've got something
Wow.
really, really fun in the works. So make sure to come back next time for a big celebration milestone of 750 50 episodes of Nintendo Voice Chat. But for now, that is all the time I've got. I got to get back to playing Animal Crossing New Leaf on my Nintendo 3DS. Have a great week. Thank you so much for listening so bright and early in the morning. We'll be back next time with more Nintendo Voice Chat, the only place that you can
Get the
Get
thing.
the thing. We're not as practiced at doing this together. Sorry, guys.
It was good. You did great. We did it. Nice
Awesome.
job.
That was
Huzzah.
that was fun.
Oh,
We made
man.